The public have spoken. In a poll this week, 98% of those questioned, 98%, said they were against unisex toilets in public places. And quite right too. Whilst the misogynistic, homophobic and frankly bonkers concept of gender ideology has been an abstract debate for a long time, the real-world impacts are beginning to be felt by ordinary people, and in particular, ordinary women. There are widespread reports that girls at schools that have unisex loos are avoiding going to the toilet all day long because they don't want to be in a toilet where there are boys. Who could blame them? Droves of women are giving up high street shops for fear that when they're in a changing room trying on a dress, they may encounter a biological male calling themselves a woman. To be blunt, when a woman goes to the toilet, she's vulnerable. When she's in underwear or even naked trying on clothes at H&M, Primark or Zara, she's vulnerable and self-conscious. Unisex changing rooms in shops are the result of amoral, woke corporations folding to the mob in the way that we saw Halifax do with their pathetic pronoun badges, telling customers to bugger off and close their accounts if they don't sign up to this wretched gender fiction. Well, I don't have daughters, but I do have an army of female friends, relatives and colleagues. And as a man, I personally don't want anyone rocking the full meat and two veg entering female-only spaces. Ladies, I've got your back. And I'm not the only one. The hugely talented Tory leadership hopeful, Kemi Badenoch, has been a vocal critic of trans ideology, which challenges the idea that there are two sexes, a man and a woman. I know that's how mad the world has gone these days. Stating scientific fact is now enough to get you cancelled. Soon you'll be a bad person or a bigot for saying there's gravity. Well, look, there it is. That's gravity. You'll be a bigot, you'll be a bad person for saying the sun sets in the west or that the world is round. But that's where we are. Badenoch, who I've got to say has caught my eye this week in the leadership hustings, made the boldest and most feminist move that she could when she launched her candidacy this week. She was at a venue with two unisex toilets and she taped over those signs, replacing them with a men's toilet symbol and a women's toilet symbol. Blimey, that's leadership. If I can't have Rishi for Prime Minister, I'll bite your hand off for Badenoch. And well done to the government who have drawn up legislation mandating that new offices, schools, hospitals and entertainment venues must have separate male and female lavatories. Who drew up this legislation? You guessed it, the then Equalities Minister, one Kemi Badenoch. And by the way, I think it's got to be Sunak and Badenoch in the final. In my view, that's a great choice for Britain. I certainly don't want vagina denier Penny Mordaunt occupying number 10. Penny for your votes, less is Mordaunt. Now, I couldn't be more pro-trans. I've got close friends who have aligned to the gender they feel they are. They must receive respect, recognition and love. But unisex toilets and unisex changing rooms are a step too far. If for no other reason than they are the perfect cover for male predators. Not trans women, but male predators. Perverts, violent men and even, God forbid, rapists are always looking for victims. All they've got to do is say they identify as a woman and they have access to women at their most exposed. Take a look at this shocking photo posted online by a lady called AIS202 on Twitter this week. She campaigns for women's rights. And she says, a big burly man in the women's toilets at Dublin Airport today. Women around him clearly uncomfortable, but none of us said anything. Would you be comfortable, she said, confronting a man in the women's loos? That's progress, is it? Wow. Big bloke in there, washing his hands. Do me a favour. Any corporations and institutions signing up to unisex toilets are simply enabling men who seek harm on women. And they're diminishing the lived experience of women who have fought hard for decades to feel safe. Now, I've consulted female colleagues about this today, my amazing team on Mark Dolan tonight, the majority of whom are female. Not a scientific poll, I'll grant you, but they all hate unisex toilets. And they told me that they treasure the unique atmosphere of being around women only in a female toilet. The banter, the support, the friendship, and yes, the borrowed lipstick. Often, a teary woman in a toilet, perhaps let down by a boyfriend, will be comforted by other females, even strangers. It's a supportive, friendly environment as well as a safe one. What's a woman going to do when cornered by a biological male at 1 a.m. in the unisex toilets of a nightclub or a train station? You tell me. Welcome to hell. Unisex toilets are also deeply offensive to women of faith, including Muslim women and women of certain cultures. And here's the point about this trans madness. In reality, it's just men bullying women all over again. And in this case, rowing back on decades of progress in relation to female rights and emancipation. Right-minded men think unisex toilets are terrible too, hence that high figure of 98% against them. That included men. And no opinion poll is ever that conclusive, 98%. Trans extremists have lost the dressing room and the changing room and do the cause of trans rights a great disservice with this invasion of female spaces. It's time to undo this assault on women and their rights and privileges. It's time to flush away the hellish, misogynistic dystopia of unisex toilets. Talk about taking the piss, quite literally. Anyone who thinks this is an acceptable way to treat women can bog off.